Thank you very much. Next we have Andrea Palmieri, who's talking about Standing Up for Science, March Against Myths About Modification. She's a recent graduate from the Food Science and Nutrition program at Carleton University. She's worked for the CFIA in the Chemical Evaluation Group and plans on following a career path in food safety. She's the Ottawa leader of the pro-GMO group March Against Myths About Modification, aimed to educate the public about the benefits of genetic engineering technology.
So genetically engineered organisms, or as most people know them as, GMOs, is one of the hottest topics in the area of food safety today. Just about everyone seems to have an opinion on the subject, but much of it is based on hearsay and emotion rather than on scientific data. The internet is full of misinformation, with conspiracy theories running rampant and sensationalist imagery that prey on people's fears. Just type in GMO in Google Images and you'll see what I'm talking about. The GMOs have become a scapegoat for the rising cases in diseases and disorders, the death of bees and monarch butterflies, Indian suicides, corporate greed, and corruption. I sometimes like to conduct my own very informal science literacy survey and ask people what they know about GMOs. The common answer I receive is somewhere along the lines of, I don't know much about them, but I know they're bad. It turns out my results weren't so far off. According to a more reliable science literacy survey conducted by the Pew Research Center, the results showed the huge gap between what scientists believe and what the general public thinks is true. For example, when it came to the safety of GMOs, 88% of scientists believe that eating genetically modified food is safe, while only 37% of the public believes this is true. That's a 50% point gap. This literacy gap needs to close, and one way we can do this is with communication. So I'm here today to spread the word about a growing movement that started this year aimed to oppose the misinformation and lies being told about GMOs. March Against Myths About Modification was conceived in response to the anti-GMO group called March Against Monsanto. They're a huge anti-GMO group that demonizes GMOs, the companies that make them and market them, and the governments that approve their sale. Hundreds and thousands of people have participated in this annual march, believing they're supporting a good cause and helping to improve the food system. But unfortunately, the organizers and supporters of this march often grossly misrepresents the science behind GMOs. Their mission statement is a collection of false claims and fear-mongering and demonstrate that they're against a technology they know absolutely nothing about. So, tired of their antics, Kevin Sinapathy, Carl Harrow von Mogel, and David Sutherland, who are all active science communicators in their respective cities, collaborated and created March Against Myths. They put out the call for everyone to stand up for science, and me, along with many others, answered. So this year was our first ever international counter-protest to the March Against Monsanto, and it was a success. March Against Myth activists protested in Madison, Wisconsin, Washington, D.C., New York City, Portland, Oregon, Nanaimo and Victoria, B.C., and even reached the Netherlands and Australia. We had a small but valiant group here in Ottawa, around 7 people, against a rather unusually smaller than average March Against Monsanto group. When a few of them came up to us, we didn't just blast them with the facts because this doesn't actually work very well. We listened to what they had to say, their concerns, opinions. We remained empathetic and calmly questioned their assumptions. A lot of them were really impossible to reason with, but some were willing to hear what we had to say. And these are the minds we want to change. The individuals that are open-minded enough to hearing a new perspective and willing to question their firmly held beliefs. So, it turned out a lot of them didn't know very much about GMOs. They were more caught up and concerned with the shady business practices of Monsanto. I stressed that our purpose there was to dispel the myths about the technology, not to defend Monsanto and all the other companies that make this technology. So what's the point in this? Why are we doing this? Well, we're tired of an activist group pushing an agenda rooted in false information. Science and reason is losing the information war to fear and pseudoscience, and because there's not enough of us out there balancing the misinformation with the facts. It's very important for the public, to help the public understand that genetic engineering technology is not to be feared. It's a valuable tool that offers diverse benefits. For starters, it can help us better ration resources like water, fertilizer, and pesticides. It can help provide us with solutions to feeding a growing population in the face of climate change. And it can actually better the nutritional profile of our food. We want to see this technology progress and actually reach the world's hungry. So March Against Myths is not just a one-day event, it's a movement. If you'd like to help stand up for science, you can start by heading to Facebook and join the group, as well as bookmarking the mammoths.org website found on your leaflets to learn more about our mission and also the myths that surround GMOs. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them on break. Thank you very much.
Would anyone like to ask some questions of Andrea?
Well, I have one question or concern. One of the problems with GMOs is there's a potential loss of species diversity. If you have one species that's been biologically or genetically altered, you may lose many sort of species. For instance, we know that apples species diversity is crumbling because there are a few brands that sell well in grocery stores.
Okay.
One of the other concerns I've heard, and thank you for helping me there, is that some of the things that are being used in these GMOs, like Roundup, isn't working as well. And I've heard that they're going to have to add a new insecticide. And I think Roundup is now identified as a carcinogen.
So glyphosate is actually one of the most benign herbicides. So it kills weeds. It doesn't kill insects.
Yeah.
It's a class 2A carcinogen by the IARC, but it's not. None of the other groups that govern carcinogenicity, has classified glyphosate in that category. However, it's in the probable human carcinogen group. And you know what else is in that group? Coffee, acrylamide, occupation exposure, like being a hairdresser, shift work, all of that. It's not. In the amounts we do consume, they're regulated, and minimal residues are on your food anyways. You're not consuming enough for it to have a potential health effect. It's actually replacing a lot more toxic herbicides, which is why it's being used. And yes, sure, the weeds are becoming resistant to glyphosate, but this isn't just a genetically engineering technology problem. It's seen amongst even conventional produce, organic produce, whatever is being used, whatever chemical is being used. The weeds, the insects, they're going to develop a tolerance to it eventually, which is why we have to continue advancing what works and what doesn't. I wouldn't get caught up with glyphosate being a carcinogen because, look, bacon was just classified as a class 1 carcinogen, and that's in the causal category, right? But you're still going to eat it, right?
Maybe not.
I don't know. I wouldn't get so caught up in it. You have to remember that it is replacing a lot more toxic herbicides that were once on those produce. Yes.
Your flyer it says here that there are only 8 commercially available GMO crops.
Yes.
What would they be? Would you know them?
Yes, I do. So we grow 4 of them in Canada. It's corn, soy, canola, and cotton. And So the papaya is also one, we don't grow it here, but it has been genetically engineered to resist a certain virus, the papaya ring spot virus. This decimated the crops back in the day and now has been salvaged due to genetic engineering technology. There's also some squash on the market that is also resistant to a mosaic virus that would otherwise kill it. Like traditional breeding methods wouldn't have saved it if it wasn't for genetic engineering technology. Also, sugar beets have been genetically engineered to resist herbicides and to resist insects and tolerate herbicides. And this is just the first generation of genetic engineered organisms. They're working on getting 2 more approved on the marketplace. One is called the Arctic apple. It resists browning, and this is a cisgenic technology, so it's not engineered with a foreign gene, for example. Like it's engineered with other wild apple species. Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of potatoes. The Arctic apple just had its gene silenced to resist browning. And there's also the innate potato coming onto the market by the Simplot company, and this has been engineered with wild species potatoes to reduce the acrylamide content that it has under, and acrylamide is a carcinogen, under like high heat. So this is a good thing. And it also resists browning. So the next generation of genetic engineered organisms, are actually going to be benefiting. There's going to be a direct benefit to consumers. You're going to see nutritional advancements like golden rice, for example, which has been genetically engineered to contain beta carotene, and this is used as a humanitarian aid to give to developing countries who rely on rice as a staple for their main source of nutrition. And now they're going to be. This acts as a vehicle for them to actually, have beta carotene in their diet and not die at age 5 from blindness and then subsequently death. So this is being given as a humanitarian aid for free to farmers to help them. Like this can help people survive and live in better society as a whole. I don't know. Yes.
The criticism against golden rice, though, is that it's not being used here in the West, in North America.
Why do we need that? Why do we need it?
I realize that, but that is one of the arguments that they use. How do you answer that? Simply by saying
Well, first of all, it's not even on the market yet because the anti-GMO lobbyists are preventing it from reaching the world's hungry. This is why it's appalling. It's still not being able to be given to these developing nations to save them from vitamin A deficiency. It's not on the market yet, but I think it should be accepted there first, and then we can talk about having it here in the Western world. That would be great, right? You don't have to, eat as many carrots or take your supplements every day, but I don't know. We don't need it as much. It's the developing countries that do. Sure. Yes.
I have one question for you.
Sure.
About those grains that are sent over for humanitarian,
yes.
but also are those people allowed to grow from these
they are,
grains?
So the people that are selling this technology, I think Monsanto and other biotech companies, are giving the seeds for free to the farmers for them to plant there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So are those can you take some seeds out of it and plant next year as well, and the year after?
I'm actually not too sure about that. I haven't.
I heard a controversy on it.
Well, I mean, everything is patented, right? Like,
yeah.
The people that create this new life-saving technology, they want to reap the benefits. They want to reap the fruit from what they have put so much time and energy and money into. It's not just a GMO thing that they patent nature. It's conventional seeds are patented. Organic seeds are patented. It's not just GMOs. Everything's patented. Apple. And,
But I mean, the idea is that if I am this year, I'm not gonna or my plants, and I'm gonna get your seeds. I can grow them, but next year I'm not allowed to see them because
I think you sign a contract with it, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then you kind of out of any seeds because you don't have your seeds from this year.
Yeah.
To grow, you kind of depend.
But it's given at least vitamin. Yeah, I do.
It's a loop.
Yeah, but I mean that's how the whole thing works, I guess.
Okay.
I'll just say,
Fair enough.
like, the seed, like, not saving seed agreements, one, those exist outside of the GM field, and two, no commercial farm will go to the trouble of saving seeds or trying to recover the existing crops. Like, if you're talking, like, grow a crop and to go to the effort to actually harvest and prepare the seeds and save them, every farmer I've ever talked to has always just said, like, seriously, just go buy some new seeds.
Yeah, I know, but you're talking about here. You're not talking about, I don't know, Afghanistan or India or someplace like that. They always do that. I know my parents, they used to do that. They save their seeds.
But on an industrial level, like if like on a huge scale maybe, but like if you're just growing, a farm in the backyard, I don't know.
I sincerely doubt Monsanto was going to be going around and, like, we gave you seeds 2 years ago, like, did you save a bag of seeds? I just don't see them doing that for, like, a small family farm. But,
Okay.
Yeah.